Well, it's getting that time of the year where beekeepers are bottling up their honey, and we want to talk about that today, and specifically more about labeling your honey and getting it ready. Hey, Sherry, good to be with you today.
Hi.
I couldn't say labeling.
Labeling.
Labeling your honey. Every jar of honey has to have a label on it because it is the law. And we're going to talk about some of the things today that you've got to have on there, and generally some other stuff about bottling up honey. Good to see you today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for being on our video.
Yeah, well, you all kept hounding me. So.
They did. We want Sherry. Where's Sherry?
And I have a lot of respect for the community. I really, really do. So, what I can do to help out.
You do a lot. Absolutely. We appreciate it.
I love to talk to all the different people on Thursday night live stream and everything.
Oh, live stream is great.
They're really great people. But today we're talking about honey labels.
Yeah.
It's we have a lot of questions about it this time of year, and it's actually one of the simplest things that you could possibly imagine.
It is.
But everybody complicates it so much.
Yep.
So I got a little story to tell.
All right.
So years ago, we used to have what we called the bee police.
Bee police.
The bee police. Everybody has the bee police. It's that one person in your club that has to answer every question, or if somebody else answers it, they've got to come in and they've got to give additional information because that wasn't enough.
That is so true.
Or they're the person that's always telling you you're doing something wrong.
Making you feel bad about it.
And so we had the bee police one year, and this person called us up, and they were like, you can't use those labels on your honey jars. And we were like, why? And they went on to say
now,
because...
it was just a beekeeper, another beekeeper.
This is another beekeeper.
Really wasn't the police,
Just another beekeeper.
Yeah.
And they went on to say because you're trying to call it organic and you can't call honey organic. And, the fact is we were not calling it organic.
No.
But the little story on it said that the honey was from hives that were on an organic farm.
That's right. I had my hives on an organic farm.
Right, yeah.
And I just put on the label, this honey is from hives that are on an organic farm.
That's right. That's right. So this continued for weeks, these harassing emails and phone calls. And so finally this person said, I'm just going to turn you in to the USDSA or whoever might sit around and look at labels. I don't know if there's a person that does that. And we're like, okay. So I was proactive, got on the phone, called Public Health Department, called, Illinois Department of Ag, called USDSA, whoever it was. And the reply I got back was, you can say anything on your label as long as it is 100% accurate.
Truthful, yeah.
Truthful. So, and of course this was. So we continued to keep it on the labels like that. But we need to talk a little bit about some of these things that people put on labels, whether or not they understand what they mean or what they're really all about.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I know a lot of people ask me what exactly should be on the label, and boils down, Sherry, to three things, right?
Just three things.
Very
simple, very simple. The first one is the name of the product.
And it is honey.
It's just honey. That's all you need to put.
It?
You don't even have to have an ingredient list if there's only one ingredient.
Yeah.
And it's honey. So obviously if you add things to your honey, and a lot of people do, people love added spices and herbs, and I used to make some with some chili peppers.
Oh, I love the chili pepper,
loved it. Then you do have to put an ingredient list on there, because you have to make sure people know what's in there for food allergies and those sort of things.
Yeah. What's the second thing?
Right. So the second thing is weight.
Weight.
You have to have the weight on there.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, a lot of people don't realize this, but we always put weight on honey by pounds.
Pounds.
By pounds.
Not pints, quarts.
And the reason is because
it's not a liquid.
That's right. It's a food, isn't it? So we measure it by pounds.
Right. So you have to have it in pounds, ounces, and grams.
Grams, yeah.
And you can figure out the grams. It's just a mathematical equation. We'll put it down here at the bottom. Very simple, but you have to have pounds, ounces, grams, not including the weight of the bottle, just what the weight of the product is inside.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
The gram thing, oftentimes people wonder, like, this one doesn't have it. It's not ours, but somebody gave me this, and it just says net weight 1 pound. But the federal law does say in grams too, doesn't it? Yep. So you need to have the
It
grams
does.
on there, or else you're going to be handcuffed and hauled off to prison.
Yeah, the bee police will come and get you.
It's like, what are you in for, buddy? I didn't put grams on my label. Oh my gosh, you know.
Oh my. Okay, and then there's one more thing that you have to have. So honey, the weight, and
Who in the world you are?
yeah, your contact information.
Contact information.
You can't just put Bill's Bee Farm
Yeah.
on there. You have to be able to contact you.
People need to be able to get a hold of you.
Right. So phone number, address, website, any or all of those things, but
Yeah,
they have to be able
right.
to get in contact with you. And that's absolutely essential
Yeah,
to put that on there.
yeah, absolutely.
That's all that has to go on a honey label.
Those
but,
three things.
But I have seen a lot of other things that people have put on labels. So let's talk and see if you even know what some of these mean.
Yeah.
So if I have to just put honey on there and somebody puts 100% pure honey, what do any of those words mean?
It kind of means the same thing. It just means that you've not added anything to it, that it's just honey out of a hive.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's 100%. But what's the difference between that and the word natural? Does natural mean anything different, or does it?
Is there unnatural honey?
Yeah. Well, maybe not honey, but people do make
Yeah,
artificial honey substitutes.
that's true.
That
Boy,
they
I've
have
seen
those
that.
all the time.
Oh, yeah.
A corn syrupy
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah,
And
right.
sometimes they even have unsweetened syrupy kinds
Yeah,
of things.
yeah,
So
that's not
that would be
natural.
a natural, but I don't know that natural means anything. I don't know that's a word that I would necessarily.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it on my label, because if you put honey on there, everybody knows it's natural. It's just from the hive.
Yeah, well, you would think.
Yeah.
You would think. Okay, so what about the word raw?
Raw honey. Wow. Well, to me, that means it's just honey from a hive.
Okay, but it
There's-
must mean something else.
Uh,
Because people love it. People will come in and say, "Is your honey raw?"
it means
So
it's not
what are they thinking?
that it hasn't been ultra filtered and ultra processed.
Okay, so you'd still see some things in
Bee
there.
legs, a bee wing. No, I just think, like I don't really filter mine. This has not been filtered. I ran it through a strainer just to strain out the wax. But that's raw honey.
All right, but like with honey shows, people
Oh,
will
yeah.
filter it or strain it over
Many
and
times,
over
yeah,
and over
for
again.
weeks at a
So
time.
we're not talking that,
Yeah.
but it also has to do with the heat.
Oh, the heat, yeah. Yep. I don't mind. I always like to harvest my honey. I don't process it. I like to harvest my
harvest.
honey in a really warm room, because it makes my honey flow really good.
I think a lot of people are under the impression that, if you take it up too high, that you're going to kill off all the vitamins and minerals and enzymes.
Yeah.
And first of all, I'm not too sure that people don't realize there's really not as much vitamins and minerals as you think.
Come on.
in honey.
I'm not getting my daily supply of vitamin C with this honey.
I've actually heard people, before saying, "Oh, it's just loaded, chock full of vitamins and minerals and,
Yeah.
and enzymes and those kinds of things." And,
Yeah, there's trace amounts.
But we
Yeah.
get it. We get it.
I get it. I love
that
it.
people
No,
don't
I'm
want
for
to,
honey,
to
yeah.
heat it, but sometimes it crystallizes, which means it kind of locks up.
Yeah,
And
gets hard.
And you can put that into a pot of simmering water, and I don't put it over 100 or 105. I mean, it's 105 out here.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing's happening to this honey. It's not
That's right.
changing the molecular nature of this honey in any way at 100 or 105.
In the hive,
degrees.
on a hot
Oh, it's
summer
hot.
day, where the super gets 100 degrees or more.
Yeah, those of you
Yeah.
in Nevada who've been fighting
Texas,
with 110
yeah.
or
Oh,
whatever
gosh.
it is, your honey's.
It's that warm already in the
That's
hive.
right. So
yeah.
anyway, that basically is what raw means, is that we're not heating it over probably.
We don't have to
100 or
pasteurize it.
105.
You don't pasteurize honey.
No, you don't
Yeah.
can it. You
It's
don't do
hygroscopic.
You don't do any of those things to
Right.
it. So, okay. So what about when people put watermelon honey or lavender honey or clover honey on it?
It's been a while since I've done this research, but when I did, it said that if you're going to make claims that this variety of honey that you're putting on your label is like, let's say, orange blossom, that you need to have it pollen sourced and prove that the majority of the pollen that's been sourced is from that plant you're making a claim for.
Right. I mean, you can have it sitting in an orange grove or a watermelon patch, but your bees could easily, one day say, well, there's not a lot of nectar, in the watermelon, but there's a great, patch of, sorghum or whatever it is over there, and they
Yeah.
go to that.
Yeah.
So unless you're surrounded by 5 miles of orange blossoms or watermelons, you really can't say that unless you get it pollen sourced.
Yeah.
So most of us
I
just say
agree.
wildflower.
We
usually.
do, yeah. I think some beekeepers are really savvy. They know where to put their bees to capture that particular nectar. But like you said, there's no guarantee. They could go somewhere else and
really,
bring more in there.
I mean, chances are that is what it is.
I agree. Chances are, yeah.
And put that on the label if you want to. That's completely truthful.
But you got to be able to substantiate it.
Right.
If push comes to shove, you got to be able to show it.
Well, right. Well, I mean, like on the back on a story, you can say,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
hives sat in watermelon patches, all year or whatever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that would be fine. That
Exactly.
would be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about local? If I put local honey on there, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, a lot of people have come to us to buy honey and they say, my daughter has allergies or I have allergies, and somebody told us if we buy local honey that it will help with our allergies. So we're local, you're local. So a lot of people, I think there's several ways to look at local.
Okay.
I think the distance is obvious one. You're in my area. You live within a mile or two of me, so that's local.
There's no actual federal standard for what local means. So you have to drill down into
Yeah.
your state to find out what it is.
The teddy bear says local honey for sale.
Yeah. And it would be if somebody came from over there and they came here, that would be local.
Yeah.
But in Illinois, for instance, local means within the county. But if you go to Wisconsin, local means anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, which is, I would think, would be a significant mileage for
Right,
something like
right.
that. So
Yeah.
it's going to mean different things to different people. And so if it's really important to you, like if you're looking specifically for, ragweed pollen or something like that, ask the beekeeper. Make sure that that is, his or her honey, and see if it's got the pollen that you're looking for, that you're trying to inoculate yourself with.
Yeah.
What people don't always realize is that people are often packers, honey packers.
Oh boy, yeah.
So they will actually travel and get honey from a number of states and then
Right.
bring it back, and it's kind of mixed together in a vat, and
Yeah.
then they become packers and
And
not
it's not to say that that's bad or wrong, but you
there's
just
nothing
want to be
wrong
able
with
to
it.
know where it came from.
right.
Yeah.
If I'm looking specifically for Illinois ragweed and I find out that it says local honey,
Yeah.
but the reality is he got it from Wyoming, that it's not going to be local
Right.
to me.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so let me ask you this question: what about organic?
Oh boy, organic.
Can you really get organic?
So I have
in
a
the
story. I
US?
have a story about organic. So I was wanting to look into what it would take to actually have organic honey. What would I have to do to my, this was years ago. And I thought, okay, I'll make the changes, whatever. So I contacted, I don't know, the USDA, organic or something like that. And I, on the phone, talking to them, what do I need to do? And they basically told me, now it may be different because I think things have improved. But at that time, they told me, all you need to do is, I think, send them money, fill out a form, let them know. And it was just like, I didn't have to prove anything.
Yeah, right.
And it was kind of loose. But
It is. It's
think
not,
they improved it, though.
It's not really that regulated in the U.S. We do have to accept the organic certification from honey that's from other countries that's imported, but right here in the U.S., there's really no real regulations on organic. There are standards for organic,
Yeah,
but it's very hard to check into them. Back to the ideal of the 5 mile radius that we talked before about the watermelon honey or the orange blossom honey. It's the same thing with organic, unless you know within a 5-mile radius that everything is organic in that 5-mile radius. You don't have any idea
Yeah.
where the bees are going to as far
Exactly.
as gathering
Yeah.
the nectar.
And that's going to be impossible to control that, isn't it?
You can't control it.
No, because within 5 miles here,
You just
we
can't.
take in a city, a small town over there. People could have something on their flower. It's just no way to know for sure.
So a lot of times people will simply be given the stickers to use, and then if anybody comes by to check, you do have to have the records to prove that you have kept them organically. But
Yeah.
it's not just the flowers that the bees
Right.
visit, it's also the paint you use on your beehives, and it's the pallets, and
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
chemicals, the treatments. It's all of that
Absolutely.
is
Yeah,
included
it
into the
does.
organic. But
Yeah.
as far as organic in the U.S., it's really not a thing.
Yeah. It's hard to do. You almost have to live on an island all by yourself, and you know what's
That
on the.
sounds
It does. Wow. But yeah, it's going to be tough to do.
Okay, so what about vegan honey?
Oh, vegan honey. So
Vegan
vegan
honey.
vegan means you're not eating anything that comes from or out of an animal, like not even eggs. So since honey comes from bees, I would say honey is not something vegans would eat.
And yet I can go on TikTok or any of those places and find all sorts of vegan honey recipes. I can make my own vegan honey. It's not honey.
Okay, are they calling it honey?
They're calling it honey,
Oh,
but
oh.
it's not honey. It's not
It's
made from bees.
Probably a syrup
It's
like.
just a syrup.
Yeah,
and
okay.
the ones that I've seen are mainly like rice and wheat, and it does become, after you boil out the moisture, it does kind of look like honey, but it's
Yeah.
just a syrup. So it's
Okay,
just like
yeah.
a rice syrup is
I
all it
see.
is. So it's not honey.
Yeah.
So it really shouldn't be called honey, but there's no such thing. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as
Interesting.
vegan honey.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, let's talk about the bottles now. So I've got some plastic bottles here. This is from my hive that I did the red wax experiment on. And it's beautiful, it's clear. And plastic versus glass, that's a big question for beekeepers. And the reason it's kind of like a toss-up is because, of course, I think plastic is cheaper, it's easier, to buy these. They're easier to ship because they're not going to break like glass would. But on the other hand, when you have honey in a plastic bottle, sometimes they can crystallize, and it's a little tougher to heat up. And I remember one time I had a plastic honey bear bottle, and it started to crystallize. I put it in the microwave, and I meant to hit 10 seconds, but I hit 1 minute somehow. And when I went back, the little teddy bear just kind of shrunk into a real short little teddy bear. The plastic melted. So I think it's you had to be
Shrunk your
careful.
teddy bear.
I shrunk my teddy bear. You have to be careful, about. It's for me. It's easier to handle my honey in glass because I eat a lot of it. I don't think sometimes this will last people a whole year, and it's easier to squirt and keep clean.
It is. So, elderly people will prefer the plastic. We're back again to what do you do when it crystallizes in a plastic jar.
Right,
We
right.
talked about putting it in simmering water. You can do that with the plastic. But you'll have to know, your customers will tell you what they want, and they will be very vocal about it. A lot of them want the glass, and they'll bring you back the glass jar when they're done with it for you to fill again. You shouldn't
Yeah.
fill it again. You don't know what's been in the jar, if there's bacteria in the jar or anything like that. But simply take it out of rotation until you wash it.
Yeah, that's
Give
true.
them a different jar, but they will tell you exactly what it is that they want, if they want plastic or glass. You're going to have some people who will come in and say, oh my gosh, this is too big of a bottle. I'll never
Yeah,
use
I
it
know.
in 5 years.
Yeah.
But others will come in and want a 5-gallon pail. So of course you're not putting that in glass.
Yeah.
You're putting that in plastic as
Yeah.
well. So, but they'll tell you.
I think it's interesting that look at the difference of sizes, but both of these are 1 pound because one's thinner and one's wider and just different shapes, Which brings me to this point: when you choose your bottle that you're going to use, think about the label, because like when I use the little teddy bear jars, I only had a little bitty square spot on the belly of the teddy bear to put a label
Yeah,
on.
just a teeny little spot.
And nothing worked. And some jars have a skep on them and a label won't stick to it, you know, flat.
Yeah, they're pretty.
They're pretty, but you need to think, okay, I need to think through the label and will it fit on the bottle that I'm choosing too. I've seen, you know, things on top and yeah, so there's a lot to think about when bottling your honey and
Yeah, but
picking
that's
out.
fun.
That's a fun part.
That's a fun part of figuring out all those kinds of things. But
And you know, change. If you don't like that bottle and you bought 50 or 100, next time buy a different bottle, try a different one.
Yeah,
You might like it the way it
exactly.
looks better.
so how much do you charge?
Oh boy, wow. I would never sell honey for less than $10 a pound. I mean, I did when we first started. It was like $1 a pound.
Yeah, it was. It was
Oh my
just
gosh.
just a dollar for a big 5-gallon
But
bucket.
I, you know, I've seen it as much as $20 a pound.
Yeah, I'm seeing it from anywhere from 8 up to
Yeah.
12 or $13.
Yeah.
I think when you start charging $12 or $13, they're looking for a little bit of added value to it. So that's the honeys that are either you're adding things to it like your spices or your peppers, or you're putting it in a really decorative jar, a boutique type item, you know, for
Yeah.
gift giving and those kinds of things. So, but people who are just looking for, like, you know, put it in something, I just want the honey, they're going to be expecting, you know,
Yeah.
$7, $8, $9 a pound
Yeah.
for their honey.
And it depends on the source, the nectar source. You know, Tupelo honey, for example, or maybe even orange blossom. A unique type of honey can bring a lot more money.
But that also depends on where you live in the country.
Yeah, it does.
You know, because
Yeah,
there'll
no.
be folks, you know, out west that have a kind of a really, really different kind of a honey.
Yeah.
And, you know, like a honeydew type
Yeah.
thing. And I've tasted that before.
Well,
But they'll pay premium for it because that's what they were raised on, and they love it. So
Yeah.
it just depends, you know.
well, you know, I made a video a year or two ago where I bought some spotted lanternfly honey. Oh man,
Did you like it?
I loved it. I think most people would hate it.
So
I think a lot of people hate it.
It had 51% spotted lanternfly in it.
Well, yeah. Oh my, it was, you know, I saw a lot of spotted lanternflies when I was in Maryland last week, but that honey is real smoky.
Unique.
It's very unique. It has a robust flavor. I would eat it all day long,
Oh,
but it is nothing like typical honey. And so some people do not like it. A lot of beekeepers don't like it because they can't sell it, because people won't buy it. They like to buy honey like
they
this.
do. It just
Traditional
depends.
flavor,
It
yeah.
just depends on where you're raised.
Yeah,
it
it
really,
does.
really does.
Well, you're getting ready to travel, Sherry. You're taking off today.
I am. One of the hobbies that I enjoy is a hobby that David does not enjoy.
That's true. That's true.
And so I do enjoy traveling. So this is kind of our quiet time at work. And so I'm going to take out of here for a couple of weeks. So he's in charge of everything, folks.
Oh my
so
gosh.
if anything goes wrong,
Go easy on me. I'm just going to turn the website off till you get back. Under construction. Under deconstruction.
just send a nice little email saying, "Oh, I know this is wrong, and I know David tried really hard, but
There
could
you
you
go.
fix it?"
Don't beat me up. My gosh, I don't do this. People ask me about orders sometimes on my YouTube comments, and I'm like, I'm not in charge of the website. I have no idea what's going on. Don't ask me questions. Now I am for 2 weeks. Oh my gosh.
You'll do okay.
Oh, I've done it before. Last year you did this, and I held the ship together.
You did.
Well, enjoy yourself.
You did.
Yeah, you'll have a good time. Well, before you can put it in the bottle like this and put a label on it, you have to get it out of the hive. And I have a video from hive to bottle that you'll enjoy how to extract your honey. We'll see you guys over there.